Right. It's so exciting to see all of you here. We're so happy you could join us tonight for our Knowledge is Power Hour. This is a place to help people with their overall health, share insights as we grow together, use our gifts and our talents to make a difference in this world. As we know that the world is kind of crazy right now, so it's important to have positive people in your life. And that's another way that we can do this through this forum. And Liz, Adrian, and I truly feel that we're creating a movement that can impact many lives. And each week, we would encourage all of you to invite others to share in this powerful help group with us. A little bit about me. I've been helping people restore health and wellness for over 30 years. My degrees are in nutrition and dietetics, exercise physiology, and cardiac rehabilitation. I have had the privilege of working with some of the top medical minds in the world who believe as I believe, and that's that the body has the ability to heal itself when given the proper nutrients and the tools. My passion is servant-driven. I love helping people, being able to share what I've learned with others and help them transform, but also for those who want to join in this health mission. And so now I would like to introduce you to my friend, my health and business partner, Adrienne Gerard.
Thank you, Deb. I am Adrienne Gerard, and I am a registered nurse with a master's in holistic nutrition. I've been practicing for well over 30 years. I'm a health advocate, a health coach, and a patient advocate primarily. My passion really is to help people optimize their health with as much natural ways as possible. And I'm here to help anybody who needs it. And I'm so glad that you could join us. And now I'm going to turn it over to my friend and business partner as well, Liz Geeslin.
Great. Okay. Thank you everybody for being here. And I actually see we have a couple other, one person I know that I overlooked, Michelle Cardiman. Could you unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. Michelle Cardiman. I'm also from Westfield, Indiana.
Great. Great. I'm glad you're here, Michelle. And then another guest that just came on, I think she's from Southern California, Terry. Crystal, this is Liz Geeslin. If you could just introduce yourself, and I guess I just said where you're calling in from.
I'm calling in from Santa Monica, California, and my name's Terry Crystal, and I'm a holistic and integrative nutrition coach with a strong bent on basically lifestyle coaching. So a lot of things around mind and body.
Wonderful. I'm so glad that you're able to join us tonight, Terry. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. A little bit about myself, those that you don't know me. My name is Liz Geeslin. I'm a personal chef. I've been doing that for about 17 years, morphed into that after having a very long 35-year career with training horses. And I've just actually continued to grow into being very passionate about holistic healing and just doing the most that we can to provide our bodies with the best nutrition, the best information that we can do. And I've surrounded myself with such amazing women and continue to learn from all of you every time we do our forums like this, which is really what this whole mission is about. So now it is my pleasure to introduce one of the most amazing women. The first time when I had a one-on-one with her and heard her story, how she ended up in her profession that she's in now is truly fascinating. Our guest speaker is Cathy Boone Black, and her business is called Indiana Integrative Hypnosis. And Cathy, I'm just so proud to introduce you and delighted you're here as our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Liz. I'm going to start my timer right here so I don't go over, because sometimes I love talking about the brain and stress and all of that, and sometimes I get a little going. But I so look forward to sharing some tools with you all tonight to help with the stress in our lives, because we do live in a very stressful world, and especially right now. And so having some tools that we can help ourselves just makes us feel like we're more in control of our feelings and emotions. So my story started when I was 6 years old. I started having panic attacks and pretty much plagued me for my life until I was in my early 20s. And I missed a lot of school. I was always deemed a nervous kid, because back when I was growing up, Therapy wasn't around really. And I had every medical test known to man, and they could not find anything wrong with me. So they just wanted to give me medicine and send me home and to navigate life. But I was always afraid of everything. Everything in my life was stressful. So in my early 20s, I decided I was going to take the bull by the horns and I was going to get help. So I was introduced to a psychiatrist at the Ivy Med Center in downtown Indianapolis. And he introduced me to hypnosis. I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. But as we worked, I had never felt so relaxed in my whole life. And what we were working on and what he was educating me about started to make sense about what was going on in my life. So then I got into a cognitive behavior therapy group that taught me that my thoughts were what were scaring me to death, which made even a little more sense. And the dots began to connect. And from there, I just started studying the brain and the body and how it works and how it's all connected. And for the last 40 years, I have just been studying and using these tools in my own life. So I always had the passion to help other people because I felt like God brought me through it so that I could help other people. So I have been very vocal about what I went through. So in 2009, I opened my business. I'm here in Carmel, Indiana. I live in Westfield. I heard a lot of you from Westfield. But I opened my business in 2009, and I have just been going to school ever since because I just keep adding modalities. And that's why I call it integrative hypnosis, because it's not just hypnosis. It's all of these tools together, because not one thing works all the time. Mm-hmm. So I always like to work with my clients and teach them these tools so that they have them when they're not with me, so that they can go on, they can work with me, they can learn these tools, and then they can go on and live their life and teach it to other people, because there's just so much stress around. I started taking Modexus about 3 weeks ago, and I studied, and I was talking to Liz and Deborah and was on a call with Adrian, and because I really wanted something to help me with some health issues that I'm dealing with. And I take longevity and lift, and because I know from reading and listening, I was on a call with Dr. Rausch, that the Lonicera berry and other powerful ingredients that are in Modexus and lift have shown to significantly support and augment the immune response, the cognitive health, eye health, cardiovascular system, and liver, with helping to detox toxins. So stress, along with other chemicals that we ingest, that we breathe in, and that we eat in our food, electromagnetic energy that we're dealing with all the time, they all create toxins, and it plays a big role with all those toxins in our body that our liver has to detox out. So I was really impressed with what I heard about how Modexus worked. Two of the things that I'm really hoping to work on is, number one is cardiovascular, because I have very high cholesterol and have for many years, but my good numbers are good. So they haven't really worried too much about it, because but since I just turned 63, I'm starting to think about, as I get older, I want more help with that in a natural way. And then also the cognitive behavior as you get older, I don't want to lose any of that. So that's why I've started taking the Modexus, and I'm really excited to see what it's doing. I'm feeling great. I'm sleeping better. And so I'm just so excited to continue to take it and see. So today I wanted to work with you and teach you about some tools that will help with stress. So one of the things that I like to teach people is breath work. It's very easy. And once you understand what it does, it might encourage you to take some more deep breaths. So what we're going to work with today is called heart coherence technique. And this was put together from, I don't know if any of you have heard of Heart Math. Heart Math is an institute of doctors and psychologists that study the heart rate coherence and the effect it has on mental and physical health. And so if you want to just do this little exercise with me and just close your eyes and put your hand right here on, put one of your hands on your chest and just close your eyes. And just bring awareness right here to your heart. And as you just slowly breathe in, just in and out from your heart, just imagining that air coming in through your nose and out through your mouth. As you slow down your breath, just imagine that your heart is pumping healthy blood throughout your body, bringing energy to your body. The heart is the strongest emitter of electromagnetic energy in the body. And when we do this breathing, we're creating new neural pathways in the body, a coherent and a more relaxed state in our bodies. You know, our mind follows our breath, and when we get stressed out, our breath gets shallow, and then our mind starts becoming cluttered, and it's hard to think clearly. So as you breathe in and breathe out slowly, it just starts to reset us. Actually, when you take a deep breath in, it's creating more oxygen to the body when you take those slow, deep breaths in. And as you exhale, it will actually bring in that parasympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic that's the rest and relax. So your heart sends information to the brain in many ways. So as I mentioned, electromagnetically, and that's how EKGs work, through the pulse, which sends information through a blood pressure wave, and biochemically through releasing arterial peptide, a hormone that inhibits other stress hormones. So just by slowing down your breathing, breathing in and out, it makes such a difference when you're in a stressful state. So just by a show of hands, are you feeling that relaxed feeling?
Mhm.
Yeah. So isn't that cool that it's something that you can do? Because, you know, when we're stressed out and when we hear all this news and everything that's going on in the world, we can never control any outer environment, but we do have the ability to control our inner environment by our thoughts. So every time you can take a more relaxed thought, you can do this breathing. And then the next tool I'm going to teach you is some tapping. It's just making us feel like we can have some control over how we feel, because this inside is what we can control. So how many of you heard, by a show of hands, how many of you have heard of tapping? Anybody? Yeah.
Just since Janet told me that you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, tapping is something that I have used. I use it with every client that I see because it's so powerful. Right, Shonda? Shonda's my cousin, actually, and we collaborate a lot, but she's been in some of my classes, but it really is very helpful. And what happens is, if you think about this is your brain, and you have a fearful or angry or frustrating thought that comes into your brain, the brain gets the signal and it sends it down here to your limbic system, to your amygdala. This amygdala is the fight or flight gland. And when the amygdala starts going, because the subconscious mind thinks that a bear's chasing you or somebody's getting ready to punch you, doesn't know that you just had a fearful or angry or stressful thought. But those thoughts come in, and then this amygdala starts going, and it sends a signal over to another gland, and then that gland sends all these stress hormones out, and then you feel it in your body. So within seconds of this thought, you can start feeling it in your body. So research has shown that by tapping on the end of some acupressure points, it will actually change the biochemistry in your brain, and it stops the amygdala, which stops the flood of these hormones. And you can automatically feel more calm and relaxed. I use this to stop food cravings. I use it to stop smoking cravings. I use it to calm people down. It's just a great modality. So what we're going to do is, you're going to take 2 fingers, and here are the points that we're going to tap. We're going to tap right between our eyebrows, this bone on the side of your eye, the bone under your eye, and then right here on the collarbone, where your collarbone comes down, there's 2 little dips right here. And I just make a C with my hand and do this, or you can tap either way, whatever you want to do. And then we're going to go a few rounds up here, and then I'm going to have you just grab your wrist, and then I'm going to have you take a deep breath in, and I'm going to have you exhale and say peace, and feel that peace coming down through your body. Now I'm going to just explain real quickly that we're going to be tapping on the end of the bladder, the gallbladder, the stomach, the kidneys, and then the hand houses the end of the large intestine, the small intestine, the heart, the lungs, circulation, instead of tapping all those places. Those places are connected to those energy meridians in our body that acupuncturists work with. So what I'd like for you to do, first of all, I want you to think of your most relaxing place that you would love to be, or that you can think of. Maybe you've been there, maybe you have a picture of it, but think of your most relaxing place. And then I want you to think of a person or a pet who is easy to love. And I want you to get in your mind a time when you were with that person or pet where you felt a lot of love from them and for them. Everybody got that? Mm-hmm. All right. So now I want you to think of something that stresses you out, that you feel anxiety over. Excuse me. And I would like for you to rate it. 0, that it doesn't bother you at all, and 10, you just want to jump out of your chair right now. This is really a really good thing to do, is to rate it, so you're going to be able to see how it comes down. So does everybody have their rate? Okay. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to start tapping, and I want you to just repeat after me as we tap. This feeling that I feel, I'm going to release and let go of. All the fear, all of the anxiety, all the helplessness, all of the hopelessness, all of the feelings of no control, all of the emotions that go along with this feeling. It serves me no purpose. It's not going to change anything. It just makes me feel poorly. So I'm safe to let it go. I choose to let it go. I'm safe as I let it go. I'm just going to let it all go. I'm safe as I let it go. And I want you to grab your hand, just pump it. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, peace. And just feel that peace going down through your body. Just down through your legs, down through your feet. Peace. Now I want you to go back, and I want you to feel how it shifted. Did it get better or worse? Did the feeling move? Sometimes that feeling will move, like it'll move from your chest and out through your hands. But notice how it came down. Let me see a show of hands of everybody that it came down. Mm-hmm. Did anybody's go up? Okay, good. Yeah. So see, just by doing that tapping, how you can change and how you can feel better. And you just keep tapping it down. So now what I want you to do is take that feeling that's left, wherever it is on that number scale, And what I want you to do is I want you to think about that feeling that's left. And now I want you to go to your most relaxing place. Think about your most relaxing place. And we're going to start tapping in this most relaxing place that I remember, that I've seen a picture of. Just be there now as you tap. See everything that you could see. Hear everything that you heard where you were there, you could imagine that you would hear. Smell, if there was any smells that are important in that relaxing place. And just go through those tapping areas and just feel it. And as you're tapping, I want you to imagine now that you're with that person or pet who is easy to love. And I want you to feel so much love for them and from them. And just feel how good it feels, that love. And then just go back to your hand. Take a deep breath in. And exhale peace. And feel that peace going down through your body. Peace. Ah. Can you show me hands how many people had another shift that went lower? Did it go lower? Anybody's go higher? Good. And even if it goes higher, it's moving. The energy is moving. So it's a good thing where it's showing us that we need a little more work when it goes. But you can just keep doing this tapping and just tapping it down until it's like, you know what? This isn't even worth my worry. This is not serving me any purpose. It's not going to change anything. Mm-hmm. So if you would get a hold, Liz, is it all right if they contact you or Adrian or Deborah to let them know? If you're interested, I can email you a tapping sequence. Whoever might like that. Is that okay with you guys?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or they can, if you want to give them, if you want to send out my email, they can just send me an email and I can just send them back. But I've got a tapping sequence that I can send you so that you can see the illustration and where to tap. And if any of you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me. If you'd like any kind of a consultation, free consultation, I'm happy to do that as well. Yeah. So that you can learn a little bit more about how I work and how I help people.
Yeah. So, oh, yeah. I mean, Cathy, that was really great. And you know what I was going through in my mind as you were doing that is for somebody that hadn't ever really experienced or feels awkward about learning how to meditate, just that little bit of doing that is pretty close to a meditation, really. I mean, isn't it? I mean, it seems
it's relaxing.
It's relaxing and getting yourself in a quiet place.
Right. Yes. And you can see when those numbers go down, you can see how the biochemistry in the brain is changing and how this amygdala is stopping.
Right.
It's slowing down or stopping. So it proves to you how you can really help that stressful, because a lot of times when we get under stress, we have those racing thoughts and it just feels like it bores a hole in your head. You just can't get out of that thought.
Right.
Well, that's a pattern in your brain. That's just a pattern. And so by doing the tapping or the breath work, it interrupts that pattern. It takes that thought to the other hemisphere of the brain. And that's how we can have, my 20 minutes are up.
Right. No, you did great. You did great. So what we'd like to do is, because I can see everybody, instead of like using the chat and writing in, although you could, if you wanted, you could write in the chat box. But if you have a question or want to ask Cathy something, just raise your hand and I will call on you. Or I mean, everybody, this is our time to visit with Cathy and get more information, ask her some questions.
So Cathy, do you use the heart math? I have the heart math device on my phone for the breathing. Do you use that in your practice?
I do not. I just, I just teach this heart coherence technique. So I'm going to have to look that up though, Adrienne. I haven't studied with heart math. I found this and I loved it because I just think it really brings awareness, and people don't really think about the breath, but the mind does follow the breath. And when we get shallow, the mind starts getting, that's when those racing thoughts start coming.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
Can I ask you a question about the breathing? When I started meditating, I noticed that there are times between breaths where I could take a long time between breaths because I get so relaxed. Is that a bad thing or a good thing, or do you want to kind of force your body to continue to, stay in sequence with breathe in, breathe out?
Yeah. Normally what I do, the other deep breath work that I teach is taking a deep breath in slowly through your nose to the count of 5, holding it for the count of 5, and then breathing out through your mouth slowly to the count of 8. And so, and the brain loves the number 3. So I always suggest do 3 times and then you're more relaxed. But I know with meditation, they're like you follow the breath. So I think the slower you can breathe in and out, the more it's going to relax you.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. I have a dear friend that's going through some major panic attacks to where, and I can't relate because I've never had one, but she says she can hardly breathe.
Oh,
So,
exactly.
so if I work with her on these techniques, talk to her about it, that would help her?
Yes, and the other thing is, within those 3 seconds of a fearful or angry thought, when this amygdala starts going and those stress hormones flood us, every muscle and organ in your body just tenses up, and that's why stress kills us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to learn, because breathing was a big one for me. I always felt like I was dying, and a lot of people with panic attacks feel like they're going crazy. And I had to learn that it was my thoughts that was creating all this that made my lungs feel like they couldn't take a deep breath because everything was tight. So when I took a more secure thought, a more safe thought that, oh, it's just my lungs tightening up because of my thoughts, then it wasn't so scary. Because in a panic attack, you do feel like you can't breathe. Your heart starts palpitating and you just feel like you can't take that deep breath.
Right.
There's also, Barb, I will, if you send me your email, I will share a book for your friend.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That I recommend.
Yeah. And Monica, you had a question, hon.
Well, I just wanted to make a statement that I started having panic attacks at age 16. We didn't know what they were. I just thought I was dying. I thought it was a heart attack. It mimics everything to do with a heart attack.
Yes.
And it's absolutely horrifying.
Yes.
And I kind of did my own research on trying to find out what happened, but nothing to the degree of what you've done. I lived with it off and on throughout my whole life. It would go away at times, which was quite surprising to me. I did go for therapy. I did do medication. And I've tried to do meditation. The trouble I've had is quieting my mind.
Yes.
And I had heard so much about tapping that I'm so thrilled you are like this gift that is here tonight.
I know.
Because this is what I wanted. I wanted to try to learn this and learn how to do this, because recently it's made an ugly return. So I'm just so grateful, but I know exactly, and everyone wants to get in touch with me about what they feel like. I can describe it to you to a T, to the point of hyperventilating and passing out and having to go for a medical and all of it. There's a lot of shame associated with it too.
Yes.
I don't think as much now, because people talk about it and it has a name, but not when I was having it.
Me either. Yeah.
Horrible.
And you just want to be normal. I just wanted to be a normal kid or a normal teenager,
absolutely.
and I wasn't like any of my friends, and that was embarrassing.
Well, I would struggle with the breathing because I would always listen to it. And then that would frighten me, thinking I was going to overbreathe and bring on
hyperventilate.
Yes. Exactly.
Let me just real quickly, then I'm going to show this book. This is what I recommend to all my clients. It's called Hope and Help for Your Nerves
Yeah.
by Dr. Claire Weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, this was my little Bible as I was getting better. It's a wonderful book. You can get it. It's like $7 or $8 on Amazon. It's a little paperback. It has a different cover, so don't let that worry you. But just make sure you get Hope and Help for Your Nerves by Dr. Claire Weeks.
Okay.
And it's just a great little book for anxiety.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to let everyone know, I have worked over the last couple of years with out of town clients over the Zoom or FaceTime. I'm very comfortable with that. So it works really well if you know anybody that's not in around town here. So
Right. Oh, awesome. Well, I have a question too, and I don't know if actually this is maybe for Deb or Adrian or any of our other guests. As far as what stress does to the physical aspects of our body and how important it is. There's Steve giving the big head nod. I mean, how, and just like you were sharing too, Cathy, talking about the Lanacera, the Modexus product, helping that. I know for me, you know, the difference that I can feel and how my sleep and all of that, when looking at all the different things that are integrated together with our thoughts and all of this, but also from the physical aspect of what stress does. I mean, this would be something for all of my people that this is their field.
Well, I can start, and I know Deb has some stuff she has to share with us, but our adrenal glands are the ones where all the cortisol is coming from when we're having our fight and flight and the adrenaline. Over time, people wear them out. They get adrenal fatigue, and some go even beyond that, right? So it kills us. It literally kills us, and we're marinating in our own cortisol.
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds wonderful. Okay,
It's not one of Liz's recipes.
right. Okay, Teresa, you have something to say?
I could add to that, not only with the adrenal glands, but stress in and of itself. It affects the adrenal glands, which then affects the thyroid gland, which then affects the pituitary gland. On top of that, there's a master hormone called pregnenolone that makes estrogen, progesterone into testosterone. So when you're stressed, under constant stress, there's something called the pregnenolone steal, which means that the cortisol now has to steal pregnenolone that would be used to making estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone to make an excess or to try to produce cortisol, which then puts you into hormone dysfunction on top of your thyroid, your pituitary. Now you've got hormone dysfunction. Now you have no adrenal glands. And it also affects the heart. There's something called broken heart syndrome, where the same drugs that start the heart, adrenaline and norepinephrine, can stop the heart. And if you don't happen to be in an emergency room when it happens, that's it. So stress is really...
Okay, let's cheer things up. I'm getting depressed.
Well, I would like to share with you some notes from Dr. because when he was initially talking about the Lanacera lift, that it really interested me when he said that it's a wonderful product to help with anxiety, and you don't hear that very often, you know. And so he went in to talk about the limbic system, like Cathy mentioned, and the fact that it directly affects the limbic system. So when you take the lift, it has a calming effect on your brain. It has a calming effect on your nerves. He talked about it elevates your mood. It improves motivation. Like I can't remember the word he said. Molecule. It has a motivation molecule. That's what he said. But then also there's some major ingredients there. T-crin, which gives you your energy naturally without like the caffeine effects, right? So you don't get the jitters. But then it also is affecting the brain. It's also helping the brain to calm down. So it's kind of doing two at once, you know, balancing your brain. And then cognize, okay, that I've never even heard of that nutrient, but it also provides relief for anxiety. So he has that product in there as well, nutrient in there. It does lots of other things too. I was taking notes on it. Anxiety, memory, ADD, ADHD, attention, mood, emotional health and stress, and it boosts brain. So, but then it goes on. Then I'm looking. Okay, rhodiola is wonderful for depression and for just reducing stress. Okay, that's in the product as well. And then you got GPC in there, which is a form of choline, a highly bioavailable form of choline that helps with focus and concentration and mental clarity. So when you wrap all that together in that product, I think that that's one of the reasons people are seeing such dramatic changes over a short amount of time. And you said that within 20 minutes, you can notice a difference with it.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the exciting things. So staying on a positive, Steve, you know, with all this depressing.
Thank you.
In combination with all Cathy's wonderful techniques that she's done to help relieve stress, we also have some nutrients now that we can add to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Steve. Go.
Question. You know, I think as we study, Cathy, our mind, and we hear more and more about it, and there's more and more things coming out, and we're finding out about it that's just absolutely marvelous. I think we're beginning to understand how powerful our minds are. How can you help others reach that understanding? I mean, I can use my wife as an example because she had a twisted colon. This goes back about 7 or 8 years. And it was so painful, and she was in the emergency room. And she had been in there for a couple of hours, and they could not bring the pain down. And they were giving her all kinds of stuff. So now they have her wired. I mean, the paddles are on. I hear them talking outside the curtain. They're saying, how do we bring this pain down? We've got to bring this pain down. And we've given her everything. There's nothing else we can do. So I walk over to her, and I said to her, I told her what the doctors were saying. I said, you're just going to have to go to your happy place. And I sat there and watched the monitor and watched her bring her heart rate down. I mean, I just sat there and watched. The doctors came in and they looked at me and they said, what are you doing? And I told them, and they sat there and watched the monitor. And she literally brought the heart rate down. They took the paddles off. Her colon untwisted. So it gave her time, a week, to have the surgery, which they took 15 inches of her colon out. So we always have the happy place. There's always that happy place that she knows she can go to. And she's the one that can get the panic attack. So it's good to have that place. And it's critical. But how can you help people understand that power that they have? Because most people don't believe it.
Right. Well, they have to experience it. And, you know, one of the things that I like to tell people is explain the brain. Our subconscious mind is 95% of who we are, and it does not know truth from false. And so it's very literal. It's very literal. And so you think about it, when you go to a movie theater, you sit down in a chair, you narrow your focus on that screen. And when something funny happens, you laugh. When something scary happens, you may have a little heart palpitation or sweaty palms. You may have a sad feeling if there's something sad. Well, what's happened is, when you think about this as your brain, this is a barrier called the critical factor between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Conscious mind is only 5% of who we are. The critical factor, and then 95% of who we are. So when you narrow your conscious focus on that screen, this barrier relaxes. And then your subconscious mind is letting your body react to something that's not even real. It's a movie theater. It's a screen. It's actors and it's actresses that it's been recorded probably a year ago. But because you've narrowed your focus and you get so involved in it, your subconscious mind is letting something happen that's not real from your thoughts, from your observation. And so, you know, when we are in a good book, we're doing the same thing. How many kids parents, you have to yell at your kids for dinner 10 or 12 times before they hear you because they're so focused in on a video game or a movie. You know, they're in it's a form, it's a trance state that we go in and out of all day long. It's a hypnotic trance state. And so even when you're in your problems, even when you're in your head and you're focused on your problems, you're in a trance state. So it's just practicing, and really when I work with people, you know, time after time when I work with them, and then I educate them on how their brain works. And then when they start practicing it, they see, you know, like for instance, you know, for me, if I wake up, I take those 3 deep breaths in the middle of the night, and sometimes I had a hard time going back to sleep. And I would literally sit there, take those 3 deep breaths and tell myself, I am asleep, I am asleep, I am asleep. That was my mantra, because my subconscious mind doesn't know that I'm not asleep. And before you know it, I'm waking up hours later because I'm back to sleep.
Right.
Kind of like if anybody's heard of the law of attraction, or, you know, it's just that your subconscious mind just doesn't know truth from false. So,
right.
You know, if you're sitting there saying, you know, oh, I'm fat, or this makes me mad, or this makes me stressed out, guess what you're going to get? Your subconscious mind is like a genie in the bottle. Your wish is my command.
Yeah. I've been waiting for you to say that. Sorry, Kathy. That's my favorite phrase.
It gives you what you think about comes about.
Right.
And so it's very literal. You have to say it in the here and now, not like I will go to sleep, because it's like, okay, you will in the future. No, now, right now.
Yeah. Right.
I now have I have a thriving business. I now have, you know, I'm now learning how to control my cravings, you know.
Right.
It has to be very literal.
Yeah. So Lisa, you raised your hand, hon.
We hear a lot about the adrenals, and I believe, aren't they across the back? Is
Kidneys.
And above the kidneys.
Above the kidneys, right? So sometimes if you have a back, I mean, I had another friend that's in the nutrition business, and she would say, it might be your kidneys, but it's probably your adrenals are stressed. That's probably where you're feeling it. And I think for me, I think it really is a physical sensation that they're just stressed out, and it's all down the back of me. Is that accurate?
Yeah. One of the things that I work with with my clients is getting to the emotional component of why that something's happening. Because it's all about, I believe, everything's attached to an emotion. And so my work is peeling the layers of the onion to get to that emotion that's creating it in the first place. Okay. One of the first people that I started studying back in the 70s was Louise Hay. She was a metaphysical counselor. And she was the first person that I really studied that introduced me to the thought that there's an emotion that's linked to everything that happens to us. And now, Adrienne, I see you shaking your head, you're familiar with, in the back of her book, she has a little excerpt about, you know, the probable cause, the problems that we have, all the health issues, and then the probable causes. And now I found another book that is called Metaphysical Anatomy. And every time I work with one of my clients that comes in, and I'm like, okay, I go in and I read, okay, the anxiety. Okay, this is probably what's happened throughout your life. And 95% of it is like, yes, that's exactly, you know, that's exactly me. I don't know how they come to these conclusions, but it is so right on. I was just working with my daughter-in-law over the weekend who has some bladder issues. And I'm like, get out a piece of paper and pencil like this, these big pads, and write about what you're pissed off about. It's in her bladder.
Yep.
Brain dump.
Yeah.
It's very literal. Yeah.
Very literal. Yeah. And so then I went to this, I'll show you this big book. This is my big book on metaphysical anatomy. And I went in here and I read about bladder problems, and she's like, oh my God, that was my life. That is my life. That's what I grew up with. That's what happened.
Oh my
So,
God.
you know, when you really work with those emotions at the base of what's happening, then you can really, your body, because you're getting rid of all that stuff, it gives your body more room to heal, because Our bodies were made to heal if we give it the right tools.
Yeah.
So,
Kathy?
yes.
This is Louise Hay's book. It was by my bedside. Sorry, I had to go get it. You can see I've got tabs in here.
This
This
heal
is a
your
really,
life. It's a great book.
Yeah, I have it on Audible. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Michelle, you had a question too, huh?
Well, no, I was just going to add a statement. It was something that I heard from Mark Hyman, who I just adore. And he said, every cell in your body is constantly listening to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was really revelational to me, because I thought, what am I saying? And what is my body then responding to? What is it hearing? And I think, when you even did the heart math, Kathy, and you said, the nutrients and the, blood is flowing through me. I think that there's a lot of healing in knowing that our body can heal. And if we can put ourselves in a place where we believe, that our body can heal, and we allow the nutrients to get to the right places. We have to have the right environment, but we also have to have that reel that's playing through our mind, also telling our body that to trust the body. It knows what to do. Just let it do what it knows how to do.
Yes.
Right.
I just love that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That's awesome. That's so true, isn't it? Yes. Awesome. Okay. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to ask or add? We love it.
Actually, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Who's next?
Adrienne, go ahead.
I was just going to say, people are going to want to know how to get in touch with Cathy. That's all.
Right. Okay. Well, what I'll do, because I have everybody's email address, what I will do is get all of Cathy's information, and I'll send out a group email to everybody. So then you can reach out to Cathy if to get more information from her, which would be awesome. Yes, would be great. And Deb, you raised your hand. Do you have something that you wanted to add too?
I just want to ask one quick question about your metaphysical anatomy book.
Yeah.
So if we had certain pain issues, physical issues, we can look up those specific issues in there, and it'll connect it to emotional things.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I've been looking for something like that.
Yeah. Well, this is I always say this is Louise Hay on steroids, because Louise's book on anatomy.
Just that little,
like yeah. But this one is really, she gets into a lot, and it is amazing. I love this book.
Excellent. Thank you, Cathy.
No, you're welcome.
I think Steve had a question as well.
Yes, Steve.
How do you tie stress, the mind, and the ego together?
Well, the ego is, our ego. It's like, who am I, right? And so stress is a way of soothing ourselves. I'm going to just show you wait a minute, okay. So this is the way I explain how we soothe ourselves. We're all born innocent babies. And then these X's represent experiences that we have in our lives. Some of the things that you can look back on, you have really good, and I'm just talking anything from 1 minute ago is our past, right?
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be horrible things that happen to us, but it's and because you can think of some experiences and it feels good to think about what happened in your past, but then you have other issues, other things that happen that don't feel so good. They all create these emotional roots. And the experiences that we have that either conscious or unconscious that don't feel so great cause pain, physical, mental, spiritual. That pain creates the need to soothe ourselves. And then we soothe ourselves by eating, drinking, drugs, anxiety on a level is soothing ourselves. And then when we do that, we feel guilt and shame. And then it creates more pain. And it's just a vicious cycle. What I help people do is just erase these emotional roots, because we cannot change anything in the past. We can only change the way that we feel about things here and in the future. I always say the analogy that I like to use is that people live in the rear view mirror of life, Most people live in everything that's behind us that we can't change.
Really?
So learning, when you live there and you're constantly going over what hurt you or what was happening, or because it does affect how we are today.
Right.
So when you can work with that and get to those emotional roots, then you've got the whole windshield of life, everything that's out in front of you, the future. And it's not, like I say, it's not to bash our parents or those influential people that we grew up with. It just is what it is. They were doing the best they could with the knowledge they had about how they grew up, and their parents were doing the best that they could. And it just goes back generations. And so, so when we work with those past emotions and those past hurts, then we can heal and we can live better in the future.
So you're trying to break the chain, basically.
Yeah.
You're trying to stop,
Yeah.
Right.
stop the behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful.
I know that some of you on this are really excited to hear Mary Maxted and a testimonial she had.
Yes.
And she was so kind as to be willing to share her testimonial with us. So I would love to give her a moment to do that, Mary, if you could.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll be brief. So I started taking the Lunacerna lift just about 10, it's been about 10 days now since I started taking it. And within a couple of days, I had experienced that I was able to I had some feeling in the front pads of my feet behind my toes. And I have had chemo-induced neuropathy in my feet since 2014. And so it was the first time that I had that feeling in my feet. And I was just stunned. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then the next day I started feeling tingling in my fingers and my arms and my legs and my face. And even like around my eyes here, I'm feeling it. And now it's getting like, so I was telling Deb this on Friday of last week, I think it was. And now it's like I can feel this tingling deeper. And it's not like tingling anymore. I'm feeling it in my forehead, across my upper lip, and on the sides of my face. It's almost like the feeling like a razor cut. It's very strange. And it's the only thing that I've changed. So it just amazed me. So I called Debbie on Friday to tell her about it, because I was like, is this real, or do other people have this experience? Is something happening to me that I need to be worried about? And apparently it's just my nerves are healing.
You're waking up.
And so I don't know if you want to take it from there, Debbie.
He also said, Mary had mentioned too, that for the first time in a long time, she's waking up in the morning and
yes,
so much more energy, right?
Yes, yes. So sleeping better.
Yeah, and before she even takes the lift. So, and Dr. Rouse said that's part of your neurological system healing, and that she will experience more energy just in the healing of that alone. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah.
Great.
Very exciting. Thank you, Mary, for sharing.
It's really exciting to be able to feel my feet again. It's like,
I know, that's awesome.
They told me at first, they said, it may go away. They said sometimes it takes, 2 or 3 years and it will go away, but it wasn't going away. And I had just resigned myself to the fact that this was the way it was going to be, it just wasn't going to go away. It's not painful. It's just that I don't have feeling. I didn't have feeling in parts of my feet.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Wonderful. Well,
Thank
Mary,
you for sharing that with us.
that's great. And Mary, it's interesting because you've joined us now. I think this is your 3rd or 4th time. And I can tell you feel better. I can.
Yeah.
I can. You just don't use it. I mean, you just
Yes.
like,
yes, you could see it.
I can see it. I can see it in you. I really can. It's
well, great.
Yes, I think it's wonderful. Wonderful.
All happiness
Yes.
Yes.
with a smile.
Yes.
Yes.
For sure.
You're
Oh,
right, Steve.
well, everybody, this is great. We try to keep it to an hour. Our Knowledge is Power hour, and it is just now 8:59. And
Four,
I'm going to give, yes,
two,
Steve.
1. 9 o'clock.
No, okay. I just want to give Cathy a big, huge thank you.
Yes.
It's been wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Yes. thank
Yes, and everybody, I will get you, send out a group email so everybody can get Cathy's information and she can share with you her books and all of that in an email back to everybody.
Thanks, Kathy, very
you.
much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you to all of our guests, to Kylene and Terry,
everybody.
Julie, all of you. Thank you for being here. This has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Night.